In life, happiness and hardship always go hand in hand. When you realize that you cannot just choose one part of your calling and relationship with God, you will understand that both happiness and challenges are part of the journey. Sometimes, you may experience wonderful moments, but still feel a sense of sadness inside, making you think you are not grateful. However, this is not a lack of gratitude. It is because you have grown. Growing up means taking responsibility, and to bear responsibility, you need to be like Jesus, sitting at the table with those who love you like John, and those who will betray you like Judas. You can sit and dine with God, knowing that both your hopes for the future and regrets about the past are simultaneously in your mind. The journey of growth and your relationship with God will also face challenges. But this is when you realize that happiness and sorrow, hope and anxiety are inseparable. They sit at the same table, and you must learn to accept and face them in order to continue growing in faith and life. Maturity is not only about growing older, but also about being ready to bear responsibility. This is similar to when Jesus sat at the table, with both those who loved him like John and those who would betray him like Judas. Maturity is accepting that in life, you cannot separate the positive from the challenges. You cannot just choose the happiness and ignore the trials. Both go together and create a meaningful journey. When you face both good things and challenges, you will realize that sometimes you may feel happy, but still carry a sadness. This does not mean you lack gratitude. It means you are maturing. Maturity means you accept responsibility and understand that joy, hope, and difficulties always accompany each other. Just like when sitting at the table with God, you do not only have joyful moments, but you also have worries, fears, and things that are still incomplete. But the important thing is that you know how to face them, accept them, and continue the journey God has laid out for you. It is a challenging journey, but it is also a necessary one for growing more in faith and life. In the Bible, when God calls someone's name twice, it is a significant sign, emphasizing a major turning point in their life. When Jesus calls Simon, or Saul, Saul, it is not by chance, but to grab attention and mark an important moment. When God calls someone's name twice, it is not just a personal call, but a signal of a great change in their life. A prime example is when Jesus calls Saul, Saul, while Saul is on his way to persecute believers. This is a pivotal moment when Saul, the enemy of believers, becomes Paul, the one who brings the gospel to the Gentiles. The fact that Jesus calls his name twice marks a shift in Saul's mission in life. From a persecutor, he becomes one of the greatest figures in Christian history. This transformation is not just religious, but marks a turning point in the work he must do for God. Similarly, when God calls Moses, Moses, it is also a crucial moment in Moses' life. God tells him to take off his shoes because the place he is standing is holy. This marks a significant change in Moses' life, from being a shepherd to becoming the leader who leads Israel out of Egypt. In these moments, when God calls your name twice, you will realize he is inviting you to change, to enter a new chapter of your life, where you must accept the new mission and responsibilities he has for you. In life, we often face situations where we encounter opposing events, emotions, or circumstances, but they always go hand in hand. We cannot just choose one part and ignore the other. This is especially true in our relationship with God. We cannot just pick one part of life and leave the rest behind. Both hope and challenge, joy and sorrow sit at the same table, and we must learn to accept and live with them. This is like sitting at the table with God, knowing that opposing elements in our lives, such as hope for the future and regret for the past, joy and anxiety, are all present at the same time. Happiness and hardship are inseparable. When you mature in faith, you not only recognize the presence of joy, but also of challenges and fears. All of this is part of the journey, helping you grow and mature in your relationship with God. Accepting both joy and sorrow, hope and fear, is not easy. But when you look at Jesus, you will see that he also had to face this. He sat at the table with those who loved him and those who would betray him. He faced suffering and hope, and that is what made him the perfect example for us. Like Jesus, we need to learn to face opposing emotions and situations so we can mature and become stronger in faith. At the same time, facing encouragement and challenge, you will realize that true maturity is a combination of joy and sorrow, hope and fear. It is in these moments that you will better understand growth in faith and the love of God. When God calls someone's name twice in the Bible, it is not just a way to grab attention, but a sign of a significant turning point in their life. These moments are not simply a call, but a mark of a major change, a new mission that God wants to entrust. Jesus called Simon, Simon and Saul, Saul to highlight the powerful transformation in their lives. For example, when Jesus calls Saul, Saul, he is on his way to persecute Christian believers. However, this moment marks a deep transformation from a persecutor to a messenger of the gospel. Saul, who would later become Paul, underwent a complete transformation. He not only encountered Jesus, but was also given a great mission: to bring the gospel to the nations. The fact that Jesus called his name twice is a defining moment, a sign that it was time for him to completely change the path he was on. Similarly, when God calls Moses, Moses, it is when Moses realizes he has been chosen for a great mission. God tells him to take off his shoes because the place he is standing is holy, marking a turning point in Moses' life. He is no longer just a shepherd, but has become the leader who will guide Israel out of Egypt. These double calls are not only to get attention, but also to emphasize the shift of mission and responsibility. They show that when God calls your name twice, it is time for you to recognize a great change in your life and be ready to accept the mission He has for you.